This one's been quite interesting because that was very easy to get in, you saw that. These two bits coming together was not easy because of all the powder coat that's in there, but that's come together eventually with a bit of sanding and filing on the powder coat. Some of the powder coat has gone missing. I'll have to spray it with some anti-corrosion stuff. But getting that joint in, let me show you. Joint. Getting this in here, into the right place, is not that easy because you see these brass inserts, they're not attached, if that makes sense. The white ones are. They're kind of hanging off the insert of the bush. So the bush insert goes through and then these white ones are hanging off the ends of that insert. But these are just pure spacers. They're not hanging on anything. So they can be misaligned to this, and this can be misaligned to that, and this, and this. So trying to get that hole to line up has not been easy. That's why I connected this first, because it gave me a more set point here. And also, if you don't connect that first, then when you put that in, this is incredibly difficult to get in, because obviously they want to, this doesn't swing in that way, it just goes up and down. So you really got to connect that one first. So that was a bit of a giggle. I'm just about to see if I can knock this through with an old bolt first. I always use an old bolt first to try and knock through for the first time, again for threads purposes. And there's been an absolutely extensive use of my favourite friend here, the quite hard surfaced rubber hammer. This dude has been invaluable. I had it already. It's very old, I think. Oh, it's nylon. Thorex nylon hammer. I bet this isn't going to come up, is it? But there you go. Yeah. The king of soft hammers. I pretty much agree with that. It's done really well. I'm going to knock it through this way. Somebody will probably tell me at some stage that you can't attach this and do that at the same time. But I bet every T car, Tuscan chassis is different. Of course, the camera doesn't really want to, there you go. So you can see the brass insert is a little bit high at the moment, but this arm is also not far enough in. So I can get the brass insert correct, but the arm's still not in. And so it still doesn't do anything useful. So I've learned this a couple of times already, that moving the arms up and down, giving a tiny bit of slack, just sometimes gives it enough to knock it in and then bring it up and then bring it through. So now this, of course, isn't the final bolt, so you do need to knock it back out again and hope it all stays in the same place. Let's get the final bolt ready, shall we? Lovely. You notice I'm not doing any of these up tight, just to the where the nylon starts to bite, because I know at some point I'm probably going to have to take them off before I actually do them up. So anyway, so quite happy with that. Got to rinse and repeat that on the other side, which is going to be fun. Okay, so just been test fitting this one. This fits really well actually. I think I'm missing a couple of these brass inserts here though, because I needed two here and I needed two down here, and I still need same for the other side. So unless I can find them somewhere in here, but I don't think I've been pretty careful about where I put all the bits, so I need to pick them up from Sport Motive. And then also my shocks, they're meant to have spaces either side for in here, in there, and up here, and I don't have those spaces either. So a couple of things that I'll need to pick up, but that one's fitted quite nicely. So I'll go and get the real one in a second, and then I can do this one here, which I'll spin the camera around for, because it's quite a interesting one that will require a little bit of flex. It's got these spaces, but it's also got some metal spaces as well, which I do have. So I'll show you that one in a minute. But let's get that one fitted. So let me show you that. So you see these brass spaces that I was talking about? Got those at the bottom of this one as well. See in there. But I'm going to need them for here and for down there, wherever, down there under the rack. And I don't have them, so we will see. Anyway, the other side of this, we have this, and this is the one that has some metal spacers. Terrible camera work. It's got these spacers, then it's got a metal spacer on the inside, another one of those black ones that's just on the floor, and then another metal spacer, and then a bolt that goes through there, all the way through there, to the other side here, which is, you know, quite a long way really. And then in here, I did get my test bolt slightly stuck in here. It really stuck on something on the inside of here. So unfortunately, I've cracked, see that there? Cracked the powder coat, knocking it back out again. So I'm gonna have to fill that in with some anti-corrosion stuff as well. So there's quite, once I've done all this suspension, I will go all the way around the suspension in the car to make sure that I've, you know, fixed any nicks, because otherwise obviously it'll just rust out, and that will be terrible. Right, let's set up this. Okay, that's bottomed down nicely. That looks too thin though. Not very happy about it. I don't think that's enough thread to hold that. Doesn't look like it, does it? Now, that looks like a really fat bush end as well, but it is basically flush. So, I mean, maybe once it tightens up, it will tighten amazingly, but I really don't think it's going to tighten that far. Unless, of course, I have used a bolt that is not as long as... No, same bolt. That's the longest other bolt I've got, which would be for the other side. But it all fits correctly, so it's clearly just that that bolt I've been given is not long enough. So I'll just give them these a coat of paint, and I'll give them another coat of paint before we go on. So these are the top and bottom ball joints of the front suspension over here that we were building up before. I've got the upright here as well. The only thing I'm missing, well not missing, but it's very difficult, is the upright, what is it, calls it something in here. This is a Cigaris manual ball joint mounting plate. That's the one. These ones here. So when I took them off the car, it took me a while to find these in the garage, but when I took them off the car, this is the ball joint, and the ball joint, that's the same as this one, sorry, this one. But I must have unscrewed these and then broke the ball, not broke the ball joint, but this came away basically. And you can see obviously where it was on. But now I can't, no matter how much I hammer and do everything with you know, the ball joint splitter here, I can't seem to get these off. And Motor Clan don't seem to have them in stock, so I'll have a little look for some others somewhere else. Failing that, I'll see whether I can continue to try and get these off and then clean them up, because they are essential, otherwise I won't be able to finish off building up this front suspension. These are proving very interesting. Got one off and I used the press over there and it absolutely exploded. The reason I used the press was that I was trying to get this one off that's still intact, and I used my ball joint splitter here. Look at the mess it made of that thread. It was so strong that it stripped the thread out of that basically. So this is now toast. I mean, this might not have been the highest quality tool to start with, let's say, but still, this one coming off was explosive. So let's do the same again. Sorry, I gave up one I did. So like that, and then we'll bring the press down. I'm going to stand well away from it. In fact, I'm going to get some eye protection while I'm at it, because it really did ping. And I know ball joints do ping, but the difference with the press is that, unlike when you do a ball joint normally, when two parts are attached on a car, nothing's attached here. So Jesus Christ. You can see why I want it to be as far away as possible. Bloody explosive. But I'm glad we got these out, because these, I did a little bit of research, and these two top mounts, top mounting plate, whatever you want to call it, they're not available. These are dead, obviously, but then they're just out of stock. Racetech Direct and Motor Clan. So glad I got them off. Now I can redo them. Things that look like car. Well, closer to a car. So I've managed to get these in now. They were very tight. If I've mentioned that before, I'm sure I probably have in this video. Lost track of what I've recorded and what I haven't. These ones in particular were very tight. So I've had to shave the insert, suspend the bush insert down a little bit, just grind off the face a little bit, just take a mill off, and then it fit quite, still snug, but fit. That one was okay, that one didn't need it. But then both of these, this side, did need a little bit of fettling, a little bit of shaving to go in. These bolts are a bit long. I'm going to replace them with some that are a little bit shorter. They just seem a bit excessive to me. But these are in, which is nice. And then it won't be long before we can add those onto here. And then that fastens to the top arm. But of course, we don't want to do that yet, because we need the drive shaft to go in, and the bearing and all that jazz. So that's good. That's nice progress this end. This is all good. You remember I was missing these brass ones. They're not meant to be part of the bush kit anyway. You can reuse them, Ian was saying, so that's if you want to. He just had some, so he gave me a few previously, so that's all right. So this side is obviously okay, and I put the ball joint into here. So I just painted the bottom of that, and just, you know, some new hardware and that kind of thing. So that's kind of getting closer. There for here. So it was just that those ones were missing. So now they're giving me those. They fit grand, so I've replaced them both sides. So that's good. And then the steering rack, just loosely fitted as before, but instead of the stupid long M8 I only had, I'll put the proper hardware under there now. So that just needs tightening up. So pretty substantial progress. There's a lot less arms and bits on the floor than before, which is just a really nice thing to see. We're getting closer and closer to a rolling chassis. And one of the things Ian said we do with the rolling chassis thing is that we put these steering arms on. They're pretty heavy, really weigh down the arm. Put these steering arms on, which are Sagaris or Sagaris steering arms, and we'll compare it to the original Tuscan ones, and we'll see which ones win out. So Obviously that's a ball joint that will need tightening properly, but you get the idea. Track rod end. So I haven't got any track rod ends, so I've ordered the track rod ends to go on that where that red thing is at the moment. I also didn't have any drop links, so I ordered those for the anti-roll bar, which will come in here with the bushes. So obviously we want to get that fitted, and I didn't have any rear upright, these old ones in the bag. So they're the drop links for these old ones here, which go somewhere around here for the rear anti-roll bar. So I've got those ordered too. So that'll all come soon, and we'll get pretty close to having a rolling chassis. All right, a little progress. Pop these on. These are actually really easy. Just I can't take them now, but there's just a few bolts, 2 bolts down here and there. A few of the kind of spacer washers again, thrust washers as they're called, I think. Really straightforward. I didn't think this one was going to go in at the top because this arm is a little bit, it's an interesting shape. You can see just at the back there, it kind of bends in. But actually, if you fit this from the back, it's slotted in really nicely, which makes sense because obviously this was my old car. This is how it put together the first time. So it should be fine. It's about -2, -3 in the garage or something at the moment. Can't feel my fingers, but I did want to just make a bit more progress. I swapped these out from 3.5s to 3s. They fit much better now. I'm happier about those, especially since it's right next to the where the body goes down. Rest of them fine. This is in. Obviously, I've not tightened anything up. This is the one of the suspension adjusters as well. The camber, isn't it? This one, camber, yeah, camber adjustment, and the toe, as I pointed out before, is down there that you can't see because it won't focus. That one, so that goes in and out. So that's the toe. I've also been playing with these. Oh, the wheel bearing / carrier. They do fit, but something that Lyndon at Sport Motive said to me is, what brand have you got? Because we had to take a bit off them on some of them that we bought previously, and now I can see what he means, because you look down there, see that gap on the right, now it's the left, so it just kind of moves around that axis. Now that could be because of the powder coat on the back there. I might be able to just trim down the powder coat, I'm not sure, but whether that's the case on the back or not. Oh, my fingers are so cold because all of this shit is so cold. Put this on here and we've got exactly the same issue and then some. So, you know, I can get it to fit there, but then we can see obviously a big gap there. So that's fun, because it means we're going to need to do something about that. I mean, you could, it's this outer rim here, right? If we look down, not this bit, but there's a lip, and then there's this outer kind of rim. Now, if I took it to a good machine shop, I'm sure they could take off a certain amount there, and maybe that's the solution, or buy another brand. But these are brand new, so I mean, I don't really want to just not use them. But anyway, I'll put that back in the bag in a minute, because I was thinking about fitting those tomorrow, getting the drive shafts in, and then, you know, you're getting pretty close to, well, you are basically rolling chassis on the back. It's very cool.